I'm Estelle Bingham, and this is the Love, Purpose, Connection podcast. Here on Love, Purpose, Connection, I want to explore how to discover and really develop the secrets of a good life. I'm a holistic therapist and healer, and so over this series, I'll be sharing frank, inspiring, sometimes raw, often joyful conversations with a different guest each time, exploring just what those three words really mean, and also, crucially, how you can discover and develop them in your own life. Today I'm talking to the queen of British soul, Beverley Knight MBE. She first began writing songs at the tender age of 13 and signed her first record deal at 21. She's had 14 top 40 hits and also had a very successful career as a stage actress, starring in the musical adaptation of The Bodyguard and in Andrew Lloyd Webber's Cats. What I really loved about this conversation with Beverley was her extraordinary relationship to manifestation. And her experience of love, purpose and connection really begins and it ends with her true passion, music. Welcome, Beverley Knight.
Hello!
To the Love, Purpose, Connection podcast.
Thank you so much.
So nice to have you. And I knew that we were on the right page, on the same page, when I sent you a text to say, Beverley, I hope you're going to make it on time. And you sang me a response.
That's me. That's typical me.
I love that. Then you turned up with Zane.
Yes.
Who's the rescue. He's a French pug cross.
Crossed with boxer something, God knows. I've got to do a DNA on him.
Do a DNA on him.
Yeah.
But we love him. He's here too. Zane is now pottering about, making himself at home. You've got a cup of tea. We're sitting in front of the fire.
Yes.
And it's just wonderful to have you here, Beverley.
Thank you so much. It's lovely to be here.
So one of the things that I'm struck by is your sweetness.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, well, thank you.
You've just got this wonderfully kind energy.
I'd never want to think of myself as being someone who is standoffish or unapproachable, any of those things, because I'm not. I'm definitely not.
You're not. I mean,
No.
Has that been something that you've had all your life? Or is that something you've grown into? Some people, when they're young, they can be quieter and then they sort of blossom. Or is this something that you've always just been, this is just Beverley?
I have never, for the record, I have never once been quiet in my life. I was also always that kid at school who, if there was a new kid who came into the class or came into the year group, the teachers would know to assign me to that child to kind of look after them and show them the ropes. Because, I don't know, I always had an innate confidence. And I don't really know where that came from, but I was always a confident and happy child. So I would always be the one who was kind of the leader of the group, you know, and was the suggester and the organizer and the let's go here and let's play this game. And that was always me. I just love being around people. I love being close to people. I enjoy that connection with people. It's always been part of my character.
So you were that child who you were kind of leading the pack.
Yes.
But you were like a good leader.
I can remember actually, lovely Mrs. Beswick, my form tutor at junior school, saying that, bright, cheerful, bubbly, that can be quite domineering. And I thought, oh, what does domineering mean? That means bossy. Oh. And maybe, I don't think I was someone who was necessarily bossy. I just knew my own mind.
So not a bossy old boots like me.
Don't think so. I don't know. But then again, women who are very sure of their own mind, or girls, women, always sure of their own mind, are often described as bossy,
It's true.
So was I bossy?
Or did you just know who you were?
Exactly. And I know I've always known who I was. I've never felt awkward about myself or certainly in terms of my beliefs, my thought processes, the neurosis and all of that came later when you grow up. But I was always sure of my personality.
When I say love, purpose, connection, how does that resonate with you?
It makes me feel as though that is my life's mission, to love, to have purpose, and to connect with people in the widest way possible. And for me, that's music all day long, because it is the manifestation of love. Music has purpose behind it. It enriches, it enlightens, it edifies, it lifts you up. It makes you feel poignant. It helps you to express grief and bereavement and all the multifaceted things that we as humans feel. And it connects. It connects in a way that mere language cannot. Somehow, when we put words to music, a true deep connection happens. So for me, you say love, purpose, connection. I say music.
I love that. So you really manifest it.
Yeah.
You've got strong manifestation energy.
Yeah.
Do you know that?
I now know it. I didn't really realize it before. I understand what it is now. As a child, again, for example, 9 years old, saw Prince performing Little Red Corvette on the telly, on the video, lost my mind. That is what I'm going to do. I'm going to do it just like him. Not quite, but that's what I want to do for the rest of my life. I haven't got a clue how I'm going to get there, because I'm in Wolverhampton. I'm not in New York. I'm not in London. I'm not in any of these flashy places. And I'm just this ordinary kid with a talent which I knew was extraordinary. I had no idea, no game plan, no anything. But I knew it was going to happen. I just knew I was going to make it. I just knew.
And not only did you make it, but you also ended up collaborating with Prince. You ended up supporting Prince at the O2.
Yeah.
And then he took you to America.
Yes. Yeah.
So, I mean, that's actually the dream come true. That's you having the vision, and then however many years later, there you are living the life. Mm-hmm. What did it feel like when you were in, at the O2 and Prince was floating around backstage, or you got the call saying, come to the States? How did that feel?
Like nothing I can put into words easily. It really was a dream come true, but that sounds like something out of Disney. It was more than that. It felt as though the graft and the dreaming and the work and the willing and all of those things, all of those years had come to fruition. Never mind winning Brit Awards or whatever. That, meeting the man who inspired me so much that I was determined to build a career very much in the way that he had done it, have a band the way he had put a band together, and, be taken seriously in an industry that doesn't take women, and especially women of colour, that seriously, apart from for a short shelf life.
For a little blip, for a little
burst. And it happened, and it's a strange thing to explain, but that moment was it was heavenly, it was spiritual, because the connection was not just, I'm shaking his hand and I'm meeting him in some party backstage or whatever. It was the music that brought us together. It was the, he had a respect for what I did, and what I did was such a central part of who I am. And to know that was the reason I was there. Not because he thought I was pretty, I had a nice bum. No, the very thing that makes my life make sense to me was the same thing that brought us together. That, incredible.
So Prince saw you?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
He saw you?
Yeah.
He honoured you?
Yeah. And that is the highest praise. I've met many women who have been in Prince's orbit and some who have been, shall we say, a lot more intimate than I have ever been with him. And that, but I was intimate with Prince in a way that very few people get to be intimate. And that's at that spiritual, deep, meaningful level, the music level, you know?
Well, it's cosmic.
It is.
Because Prince was cosmic.
Yeah.
So what was that feeling when you mentioned it was spiritual? Like,
Yeah.
what did it kind of bring to your spiritual life?
When that happened, it made me realise, you were asking me about manifestation. I think that was the moment that I understood what it was, you know, that if I, you know, really, really want something to happen, by hook or by crook, somehow the universe shifts my access to make it happen. And it is inexplicable.
So what you have, Beverley, is an unshakable energy. You have an unshakable belief, right? So a lot of people sit down, they try and manifest, they'll have that focus. And what's happening on the inside is that they don't really believe. So you have this belief. So in your unconscious belief system, you believe you deserve it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
There's a part of you, even when you mentioned your gift, you just named it. I have an extraordinary gift. You own it.
Yeah. I realised that that was something that arrived as a present from the universe to me on the day of my birth. And I recognised that it was something that wasn't given to everybody, but it was given to me. And I ran with it.
Right.
I ran with it.
And for people who are listening that do have gifts,
Yeah.
part of the showing up is actually just giving yourself permission to be extraordinary in that way. Because a lot of us have gifts, but we don't actually embrace those gifts. So there's 50% of us aren't even showing up to that word extraordinary.
Yeah.
I'm extraordinary. I'm going to get out of the way of myself and I'm going to let this do its thing in my life. Do you feel like your relationship to that allowing has to do with your faith? Is it to do with God? Is it to do with that upbringing?
I think the upbringing helps. I mean, I'm not Christian. My parents are Christian. I was very much raised with the tenets of the faith, and you can run, but you can't hide.
Yeah.
You know, they're always with you. You know, I can quote Bible verses like that. It's always there. It's always there. It's, you know, and a lot of that has shaped me. So yeah, I do think that thing that is faith has a lot to do with why I am the way I am. I guess faith has been this huge part of the overwhelming part of both my parents' lives and their parents before them, and so on, and going back and going back.
In that West Indian tradition.
In that West Indian tradition. So one of the things that was drilled into me that has never left me, one of the Bible verses, Hebrews chapter 11, verse 1. Now, faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not yet seen. And I'm like, that's it. And then it goes on and on to talk about.
But that's giving me goosebumps.
Yeah, I mean that. But I had that drilled into me, and then the whole of that chapter goes on to tell you what people did with faith in their back pocket. Abraham about to sacrifice his son Isaac and didn't. And faith is powerful. If you have faith in what you're doing, you can be in the darkest circumstances and you're like, there is no light, I can't see the light, but somehow I've got faith it's going to be all right. I just do. And when you've been raised that way, it's absolutely a part of you that is unshakable.
It's in your DNA. It's in your cosmic DNA.
That's it. It's in my cosmic DNA. I just, you know, and it's interesting because I'm like that. My husband, in complete contrast, isn't.
James
isn't like that. He worries. Deep down inside, he has that little thing of, is it going to be all right? I don't know, you know. I don't know. And I'm always like, it's fine. Stop. It's fine. Stop worrying. It's fine. And I wonder if that's because I was raised in this strong, Christian household. Faith was such a big part of it. Not religion, not the institution, the actual faith. Also, Mom and Dad were about. I was very, very fortunate to have that. To be honest, most of my friends had both their parents. It was, maybe it's the time of, it's age thing. There's certainly way more married or together parents than not when I was young.
So you got that template.
So I had that. I always knew everything was going to be okay.
And the template of a relationship too, right?
Exactly.
So James, let's talk about James, because you've been with him for a decade.
I've been with him 13 years, but we're engaged a decade, been together 13 years, married 8 years.
And you met him not at the beginning, not in your 20s, you met him a bit later. In your mind, you said, I thought I was going to be marrying an Idris Elba type.
Yes.
But then you saw James and you thought, he's the one.
Before James, relationships that I'd had, black men, always ripped, always, gym bunny, buff, thick, dark-skinned, killer, big old smile, that kind of...
that look.
That was the look. And then and not exclusively so, because I'd also been in relationships with people who definitely didn't look like that, and not always black either. So when I saw James up a ladder, oh God, I walked into the shoot, saw James up this ladder, as you do, you look around. I thought, oh, nice bum. Kept walking. He came down the ladder, and me being me, I say hello to everyone. The minute I walk in the door, hello, all right, how are you? And I said, hello, all right, how are you, to James? And then he smiled and I was like, oh my God, who are you? I need to know everything. And I was banging on about it to the makeup artist and my, stylist and everyone. And they were like, oh, for God's sake, Bev, seriously, But I was like, no, have you seen him? Oh my God.
Did you did you go a little bit in the stomach? Like what happened?
Oh no, I went all shades of funny.
Yeah, were you was it all?
Yeah. And I was like, I knew why I was there. I was there to shoot the TV advert to my album. And you got to be professional. But I was like, but that guy, man, boy, that guy. So I just chatted him up all day. He just thought I was being nice because I was nice to everyone.
I was going to say, did he know you were chatting him up?
No, but he wondered. It was only kind of when we actually did get it together that he was like, oh, you were totally chatting me up that whole day. I never would have done that because he wasn't my quote unquote type, but he was. Clearly he was.
So how does your soul feel around him?
Illuminated. I feel as though when he's there, everything's going to be all right. He is my go-to. He is my, oh man, he's still, when I see him, walk into a room, I'm still like, that's my James, that's James.
So it's still there.
It's still there,
That recognition.
Yeah, it's still there. And people do laugh at us because they're like, how long have you guys been together? You look like you only just got together last week. And it's still there. It just is. He gets me. He really understands me. And
what does he get?
He understands that Beverley Knight is the person that lives on stage and sings the songs and writes the songs and meets the public and interacts with the public. And Bev is his wife, one half of the dynamic duo that kind of we work things out together. When we go to events or we go to a dinner party or we go to somewhere, I don't have to look across the room and think, how's James feeling? I know what he's feeling. He's feeling just fine. He's holding court over there. Never mind me. He's the real magnet when we go out anywhere. Everybody's drawn to James because he has his own magnetism.
He has his own magic.
And he really does. And it was that magic that I saw up the ladder that day. And he doesn't see it in himself. I see my magic in myself, but then I'm an artist. I'm given opportunity to do this. You know, I sing and I see the public reaction. James doesn't see it. James does not see what everybody else sees when they are around him.
The souls that we end up in relationship with.
Yeah.
We bring something to each other. There's medicine for our souls.
Yes.
So there's something that he's going to be bringing to you in that deep place. You know, finally, where Beverley Knight, the artist, versus Bev at home can just exhale. And you're obviously bringing something to him. You're bringing this sense of, I see you. You know, I see myself and I see you, which is, I suppose, even on this podcast, it's bringing that energy to people who are listening to understand that. Yeah. To just know and embrace your magic. To be in relationship with that. And that's how we can kind of feel peaceful with what's coming in and positive about what's coming in and trust what's coming in. We can start leaning into just trust. These really big things in life, right? These are kind of the spiritual foundations of being on the planet in a way that feels good. Now, you're an Aries.
I am.
Do you know much about being an Aries?
A little. Fire sign, impulsive, I guess leader-like qualities, apparently short-tempered. I used to be short-tempered when I was young. I then, like my mum, who's an Aries, became more chilled out as I've gotten older, like my dad, who's a Pisces. Was a Pisces.
Well, I'm an Aries.
Yes, come on.
So I'm not going to say that I'm bossy, but it has been said about me before.
How funny.
Yeah. And we do just meet life with a sense of positivity. There is that Aries thing, and we are many things. One of the things, being a strong Arian woman, is this journey to intimacy and trusting that person with that part of ourselves that is actually very vulnerable. Yeah. Does that feel like something that your journey to being vulnerable or leaning into someone and allowing that, has that been a journey for you?
Well, yes. I became great friends with a man called Tyrone Jameson. Tyrone, I met in the very late 90s. He did lots of events. He was always involved in getting events up and running in the gay community, being a gay black man. He was HIV positive. I didn't know at the time when I met him, but met him in a club, which has long since gone, as so many have, on Charing Cross Road. And Tyrone, I don't know, he came bounced up to me. I need your number. I want you to perform at Big Gay Out at Finsbury Park. I want you to headline. And I need your number. And contrary to something I'd ever do, gave him my number. I'd never do that, but I just did. There was something about him. And within weeks, we became very close very quickly. And I found out he was HIV positive because he went missing for a while and turned up in the Chelsea Westminster Hospital because he'd had a crisis. He'd gone into an illness. And during that, had lost his home. And then again, something I wouldn't have necessarily have done before, I was like, well, come and live with me. And so Tyrone came and moved in with me, and then we became inseparable.
Wow.
And in learning about Tyrone and his illness and trying to live with it, and then seeing how he was struggling to cope with what we, found out subsequently was the later stages of HIV before it became full-blown AIDS, I saw him open up and become vulnerable, which allowed me, and I was in my 20s, to open up and become vulnerable too. I brought him home. Remember, fundamental Christian evangelical household, bringing a gay man into the house.
So you took him back to Wolverhampton?
Took him back to Wolverhampton to meet my family, and basically said, this is Tyrone. He's my friend. He's become one of the best friends I've ever had. My dad called him son straight away. My mum embraced him. I mean, the whole family loved him. And I say fundamental evangelical Christian household because
Well, we know
what that means. plus you throw in Jamaican into the mix, you know exactly what that means. But they took to him straight away. The whole family took to him, which was extraordinary. And he could open up because he saw he was in a safe family environment. His own natural family environment was not safe. He'd run away when he was very young, had never gone back. But it allowed him to open up, which allowed me to open up to him. And there was a transformation in me that could only have happened with Tyrone. When I met Tyrone, I was a confident woman, an articulate woman. I was very bookish. I was very academic. You know, cerebrally, I knew stuff. And I had this gift of music. I knew all of that. What I wasn't sure about and where my vulnerability lay was me physically. You know, even though I was fit and strong and sporty and all the rest of it, because I was a woman, a black woman, and back then, black beauty was not celebrated
in any
way, shape or form, you know. So I never saw myself as being beautiful. I never saw myself as being desirable. I never saw that I could portray that as an artist. So I was a very serious artist. I mean, I was anyway, but I mean, I didn't have that kind of, that thing that, say, Lauryn Hill had, where she was a serious artist, but she was also regarded as a beautiful woman, you know, strong, dark-skinned, all the rest of it. That was something...
She was owning her
beauty. That was something I saw in the US. That was not something that ever happened in the UK. And I would argue still doesn't really happen. Not really. Tyrone changed that. Tyrone, I will put that down to him 100%. He got into my way of thinking as a man who I knew wasn't trying to get something from me, you know, trying to slide into my bed or something. Wasn't interested, obviously, he was gay. But saw the beauty in me, and not just a beautiful heart, a physical beauty in me that I just did not see in myself. He set that process off in me.
How did he do that?
We'd go shopping, and he'd pick up a wicked little dress, you know, short, sassy looking thing, and I'd be like, nah, I can't wear that. He said, what are you on about? Have you looked in the mirror? Look at your legs. He'd shove me in front of a mirror. Look at those legs. Do you not see this? And I'd be like, nah. Right, you're going in there, you're trying on that dress, and I'd be like, oh, for God's sake, oh God, is it going to be over yet? And I love shopping. It was just, I didn't see myself as that kind of, could do that sassy, sexy thing. He'd make me try on the dress, and then he'd drag me out. Come on, I want to see it. And I'd stand there, you know, shoulders all rolled in and crumpled into myself. And then random strangers, because he was one of those people, he did not care. No shame, as people say. He'd go up to random strangers. Doesn't my friend look hot? Isn't she? And they'd be like, oh my God, look amazing. Look at her figure. Da, 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 da. And he'd do that all the time until, you know, he'd drill it into me until I began to believe it for myself. That was what he did.
What a gift.
What a gift. He didn't know he had that gift. He had that gift. And he, as far as he was concerned, he was just, I'm just telling you the truth. I'm just telling you the truth. But he was pulling that out of me.
So that was the essential Beverley. That was the owning your sexuality, owning your glamour, owning that power, the femininity.
Yeah.
You know, to be a black woman, to be desirable, to be beautiful, to step into that.
Yeah, which I had not done ever before I met Tyrone. I just hadn't done that. Didn't have the tools, didn't have the wherewithal. Confident in every other facet except there. And that was my vulnerability. Tyrone died on the 13th of February 2003. And you can imagine my life shattered. And I regressed. I was such a mess. And even music couldn't get to me. Just, it was a dizzying, dark time. And funny, even in that, I still knew I was going to come out the other end. But I had to walk through that valley. Just that bizarre thing of the public face has to still do what I'm doing, and privately I was not good at all. And just bit by bit, with the help of my family, and eventually when I allowed music back in, I came out the other side. Went into a relationship that was no good for me, and that ended. But once I came out the other side, I was in such a strong place. I felt more centered. I felt Tyrone physically wasn't there, but he was spiritually still there, and he still is. And that relationship that I had, that was so intense and in my life story so brief, 99 to 2003, allowed me to be the woman who then went on to meet James and be absolutely in the right space to meet him.
Really present,
really switched on, and really understanding what was going on when I first met him, to recognize that when I first saw him up the ladder, he could be it, and then within 2 weeks, I was like, it's him. It's him. Mom, I need to talk to you. We need to have that chat, because I think I've met the one. Oh, I'm so excited to meet him. But I knew, because I was in that space where I knew. Yeah. And that was because of Tyrone.
So that's that idea of the souls that come in, and he came in, it was like he was meant to meet you.
Yes.
And open your heart.
Yes.
And you
that's
sort of
right.
really deepened. He brought something to you.
Yeah.
It's like a soul contract almost. It's like souls kind of know. It's like you met him at that club, you gave him your number, you're not quite sure why. But this is what I mean about you. It's what I was saying. You do have that kindness. I'm not surprised. It's the sort of thing I would do, like, randomly give people my number. But you were feeling it. You just kind of went with that.
Yes.
And then he's at your house, and, you've taken him back to Wolverhampton. That's humanity, isn't it? That's the sort of, that's the kind of the humanity in that is really big. It's the part of you that just says open arms, So you brought something to him.
Yeah.
This feeling of family in his last year. So he'd actually feel that.
Oh, God. I mean, he had, nieces jumping into his lap and, "We love you, Uncle Tyrone," and all that kind of thing. And, having a father figure who called him son, never Tyrone, son. "You're right, son." That was new to him.
And huge healing.
Huge
healing.
Huge.
So there's that kind of, that really powerful exchange between the two of you, that gift of friendship and love.
Yes. It was a love that had no conditions, that had no stipulations. There was no, I know it's a platonic relationship, but there was no prenup. You know what I mean? There was, none of that existed, and Tyrone was in my life to allow James to be in my life. They were just never meant to meet, but I know from wherever Tyrone is now, he'd be like, yeah, I approve. I'm Tyrone Jameson and I approve of this relationship. You know what I mean? And I have other people in my life who do that for me. My best friend Zaz, my best friend Monroe, they are people who they see me as me and nothing else,
And when you need to break down a little bit, they're there.
Oh, 1,000%. Yeah. Absolutely.
You can go back to them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you need to have a little weep, you can have a little weep.
Yes, very much so. They get it. They're special human beings, and they get it.
So let's talk about the music.
Yes.
Because I can't have Beverley Knight, in my front room with Zane, the rescue dog, a cup of tea, without talking about the music and this incredible career. And we've talked a little bit, we've touched into it. But it feels like it is your love. It feels like it is your purpose. It feels like it is your connection. It's very powerful. And you have talked about some of your influences. And I'm really fascinated by Joan Armatrading, Aretha Franklin, Sam Cooke.
Sam is the full package, the businessman, the songwriter, the voice, the activist. He never got to see the better times. He died as the civil rights movement was really beginning to pick up speed. But he was at the forefront of it right at the beginning and was vocal. He was one of the first businessmen, you know, owning his own label, owning his own publishing company, writing all his own songs. They called him the father of soul. He was an extraordinary man, and he was the first recorded voice I can ever remember hearing. And I was completely drawn to him as a 3-year-old, watching the 33, the LP, go around on the record player and just being completely mesmerized by him. Mom, dad calling me for dinner, me not moving because Sam's singing to me. You know, he meant so much to me in my formative years. And then as I got older, Aretha Franklin, you know, helping me to find my own voice, you know, physically, my own voice. People like Whitney Houston, a little later after that, Shaka Khan. And then me following my sister onto the piano. I'll confess, pretty lazy, learn by ear, too stubborn and too impatient to sit down and learn properly, and regret it to this day, but, you know, play enough, just about enough. Learning to write my own songs. In comes Joan Armatrading into my sphere. You know, the way she crafts, the way she takes a sentiment and puts melody and lyric to it and makes it fly in a way that so many people can love and appreciate and understand and connect with. And then Prince being the ultimate for me. Prince awakening not only all of those facets, but the sexual being in me, you know, even at a very early age, me recognizing that part of my feelings about him were not only a respect thing, I fancied the living pants off the man, you know what I mean? And understanding what that was. And, you know, If I Was Your Girlfriend goes through me. I mean, my God, it goes through me. But I guess for me, the perfect pop song that he crafted was Raspberry Beret.
Yeah.
So I'll go for Raspberry Beret.
Amazing track.
Absolutely just a perfect slice of pop with everything in it. When I think of Joan Armatrading, I think Love and Affection. Oh my God, just the brilliant marriage of sentiment, songwriting at its greatest.
If you could choose one tune, which one of those songs makes you feel particularly connected, or is a gift that you want to give the audience?
My favourite song of all time is A Change Gonna Come. Sam Cooke wrote that. That's my favourite song. We've talked a lot while we've been chatting about this unshakable belief, this cosmic faith that I have that everything's going to be all right in the end, glass half full. And A Change Gonna Come for me is the absolute epitome of that feeling. I just, you know, hope.
It's over to you, Beverley.
Okay, so I was born by the river in a little tent. Oh, and just like that old river, I've been running ever since. It's been a long time coming, but I know change gon' come. Oh, yes it will. It's been too hard living, but I'm afraid to die, 'cause I don't know what's up there way beyond the sky. It's been a long time coming, but I know change gon' come. Oh, yes it will.
I'm speechless.
Thank you.
I could feel it running through me. You know, it will stay with me.
Oh, I'm glad.
Yeah.
That's the point of why I do what I do. Make memories, make people connect with their spiritual selves and make them think, you know, it doesn't matter how dark it gets, it will still be okay in the end, I promise you.
Amen to that. And such a pleasure it's been to speak to you today.
Oh, it's been a pleasure for me. Thank you.
To find out more about Beverley, she is at Beverley Knight on Instagram. You can also follow me at Estelle.Bingham. Come and find me. I'd love to know what you think of the show. And of course, if you've enjoyed it, spread the word, share it with someone that you love and care about, and rate it if you can. The producer is Sarah Cudden, with exec production from Kate Taylor. This is a Feast Collective production. Till the next one, wishing you all more love, purpose, and connection.